Heather Eustace's 7-month-old daughter weighs just 10 pounds. Her head is abnormally small, and she can't sit up on her own. But still, she seems happy all the time. Dr. Danielle Dunnett suspects she knows what's causing the bizarre constellation of symptoms and immediately refers her to geneticist Dr. Darius Adams to confirm the diagnosis.
When I first met Andrea, she was smiling and happy. She was a very small child and also did not have a normal head circumference, and she wasn't feeding very well. Also, she wasn't babbling normally. Those were all factors that made me suspicious.
Dr. Adams suspects that Andrea is indeed suffering from the extremely rare disorder Dr. Dunnett's read about in medical school, but he can't be sure until he tests Andrea's DNA. As a next step, he takes 4 vials of blood from the infant and sends Heather home to wait for the results.
I was just relieved. A big town hospital says, something's wrong with your daughter. And I'm like, okay, now it's just waiting for the phone call. I need the phone call.
It's 4 long weeks before the news she's been waiting for finally comes in.
Dr. Adams said, we have a hit on chromosome 15. There's a deletion. And I remember going, what does that mean?
We did a chromosomal microarray analysis, and we found that she was missing a segment on chromosome 15, and that gave us the definitive diagnosis for Angelman syndrome.
Angelman syndrome is a rare neurological disorder, which can be caused by a random chromosomal irregularity or genetic mutation. Patients with Angelman are missing a segment of their 15th chromosome, which is associated with a gene that contributes to neurological development. This chromosomal abnormality causes severe mental and physical delays, and strangely, a persistent and inexplicable happiness.
When they told me it was definitely Angelman syndrome, it was relief. We actually have something.
Dr. Adams suggests that Andrea first showed signs of Angelman syndrome when she started smiling at just 2 weeks old.
We're not sure why individuals with Angelman syndrome have a very happy and excitable personality. It's likely related to the impact of the chromosomal abnormality on the nervous system.
The feeding and vomiting problems Andrea has been experiencing are also indicators of the disease.
The first sign can be low muscle tone. These individuals can also have low muscle tone in their GI tract, which may make eating much more of a challenge and can lead to an inability to gain weight.
Dr. Adams goes on to explain that Andrea's microcephaly is a direct result of her condition.
Individuals with Angelman syndrome tend to have poor brain growth, and hence you will have a small head size.
The neurological effects of Angelman syndrome can take a heavy toll. Sufferers are known to experience jerky hand flapping and uncontrolled twitching and flailing of the limbs, which Andrea is already beginning to display.
The cerebellum seems to be impacted. That is a portion of the brain that is involved in balance and coordination. The hand flapping and jerky leg movements are associated with the impact on the nervous system.
He told me she was going to have a very hard time using her body, sitting up, walking. 10% of individuals don't get the chance to walk. That hit very hard.
The disease is also clearly affecting.
Even with intensive speech therapy, they typically only acquire about 6 or so words, so it is a lifelong challenge for them.
They told me she probably will never say anything, but she will be able to communicate in different ways. Sign language, picture boards, and that's all right by me. But it sure would have been nice to hear Mama.
Unfortunately, problems with speech and motor skills are just part of the Angelman equation. The main danger facing patients is potentially life-threatening seizures brought on by their abnormal brain activity.
Seizures are a major component of Angelman syndrome and can present in a variety of ways, so that would be something that we would have to keep a careful eye on with Andrea.
But while Heather does her best to make sense of the sobering news, the one thing she still can't understand is why Andrea's condition wasn't diagnosed sooner. Dr. Adams explains that Angelman is very rare, diagnosed in only 1 out of every 20,000 births.
Angelman syndrome can be challenging to diagnose because the initial symptoms are pretty non-specific. Typically, Angelman is diagnosed when individuals are a little bit older because you can put more of the pieces together. The most critical thing with Angelman syndrome is to initiate supportive services as early as possible. Speech therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy. Andrea, not being diagnosed, may not have received supportive services, and that may have had an impact on her overall growth and development.
We set up an appointment for counseling, and tears came to my eyes, and I called up my mom and my sister, and I said, this is it.
When Heather called, I was like, well, at least you know now. You know how she's going to progress, how she's going to grow.
Her life's going to be very simple. It was definitely sad, but it was also refreshing to know that she had no idea. She was just happy.
Today, Andrea is 1.5 years old. She goes to occupational therapy twice a week and has already made remarkable progress in her overall development.
I see so much change in her. She really all of a sudden started to blossom. She is trying to stand up more. Movements. I would love to see her walk. That is my #1 goal.
But regardless of what challenges the future may hold for Andrea, one thing is sure to remain constant: her smile.
She's still happy as ever. She's eating. She's growing.
We love that little girl to death. She's my sweetheart.
Andy is such a happy baby. She lights up the room, and you just can't help but feel yourself smile along with her. She's a lot steadier with
Andrea's ability to speak.